Supreme Court seems ready to gut a key part of the Voting Rights Act that has been used to root out racial discrimination in voting. Such an outcome could boost Republican electoral chances across the South and in the closely contested House of Representatives. After 2.5 hours of arguments, the court's 6 conservative justices each seemed ready to strike down a congressional district in Louisiana that was drawn to elect or to give black voters in that district a chance to elect a candidate of their choosing. The court's 3 liberal justices tried to keep the focus on the work that the Voting Rights Act has done in combating discrimination. Sonia Sotomayor told a lawyer for the Trump administration that the administration's bottom line seemed to be to want to get rid of the provision of the act known as Section 2. The lawyer, Hashim Mopan of the Justice Department, told the justice that that was not the administration's intent. A ruling that strikes down the Louisiana Congressional District could free lawmakers across the South and indeed across the country to redraw electoral districts from Congress on down in a way that eliminates black and Latino majorities. Those districts have tended to favor Democrats, and it could really improve the Republicans' chances in the House of Representatives, where there's a very narrow Republican majority.
But when it came to war or having to pay massive tariffs, the tariffs overrode. That's why it's so important. Not only the money, we're taking in trillions of dollars, not only the money, the power to keep peace, the power to be used for good is enormous. But a lot of people didn't understand tariffs. It's also made us very rich. We have a big case coming up in the Supreme Court, and I will tell you, that's one of the most important cases in the history of our country. Because if we don't win that case, we will be a weakened, troubled, financial mess for many, many years to come. I don't even know if survivable is a good term. And if we do, we're going to be the most powerful economic country in the world. And all we're doing is using them as a defense against what took place for many years. China would charge us tariffs. It was incredible, but we weren't allowed to charge. And we're allowed to do whatever we want. We just had presidents that didn't want to do it for whatever reason. And if we don't have the use of tariffs, we have no national security. This country will have no financial security, will not have national security. And the people that brought the lawsuit are people that are aligned with foreign nations that are now being treated fairly as opposed to just ripping us off and ripping us asunder. But if we are not allowed to use what other people use against us, there's no defense. It'll be a disaster for America. That's why I think I'm going to go to the Supreme Court to watch it. I've not done that, and I had some pretty big cases. I think it's one of the most important cases ever brought, because we will be defenseless against the world.
Sir, are FBI officials being paid right now? Are all the FBI employees being paid, and are all the...
Well, that's what I understand. I hope so.
Thanks to you. Thanks to your great work, Mr. President. The 1811 special agents at the FBI are going to receive their paychecks.
Got a lot of people paid, actually. We got the people that we want paid, okay? And we want the FBI paid, we want the military paid. We got the people that we want paid. And I'll tell you, the Democrats, they don't talk about this. You know, we're getting rid of programs that we didn't like, but that were negotiated in, but we didn't like. We're terminating those programs, and they're going to be terminated on a permanent basis. And it's thousands of people, and it's billions of dollars. We're getting rid of a lot of things that we never wanted because of the fact that they made this stupid move. And they don't want to talk about it. You know, they have their day coming up. I hear very few people are going to be there, by the way. But they have their day coming up, and they want to have their day in the sun. But they should really make a deal. So what we're doing, I mean, they call him Darth Vader, but he's actually a very nice person, Russell Vogt. But Russell Vogt is really terminating tremendous numbers of Democrat projects. There's not only jobs, I mean, the project in Manhattan, the project in New York, it's billions and billions of dollars that Schumer has worked 20 years to get. It's terminated.
I was in the Supreme Court today listening to the arguments on the Voting Rights Act, and the major question of the day is, will we have a Voting Rights Act after this court decides what's coming next. I arrived here this morning and was surprised about the size of the crowd that was already here, that were chanting, that were talking, that had signs, almost a festive atmosphere. And
third of the people in Louisiana, yet they continue to try and keep.
And for those same 3 years, I was elected.
We're going to go in New York City to protect and promote.
It was strange, though, because going from outside with an energetic crowd that was really, really rolling, and you could just feel it was almost pulsating with the energy, is to get inside the courtroom where it was very, very quiet, very, I would say, almost sedate.
It's what we must do every day, more and more, at least higher.
To me, one of the most notable things was, and maybe shouldn't have been a surprise, but Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, when she began talking to the plaintiff attorneys of this particular case, and she kept pushing them to say, okay, so the only way I can actually get a voting rights case is if there is intentional discrimination. And she kept hitting on that word, intentional.
It's not a showing of intentional discrimination.
Why does it need to be? Is your suggestion that the only thing that's worthy of remedying is the intentional discrimination by the state?
So how do you define intentional, and is there any other way to bring a case if we don't have intentional discrimination and have a showing of that, and what does that do to future plaintiffs? Section 2 cases are responsible for probably 75% of the minorities who are seated, not just in Congress, but it's the local cases. 75% of the Section 2 cases have been for school boards, have been for city halls, city council meetings, and those kinds of things. So the implications of how far this could run and what it could disrupt if you didn't have Section 2 and everybody starts rewriting their maps. We're all kind of Congress-centric up here, and we're Washington, D.C.-centric. But the ramifications of this run throughout local communities. No community will be untouched if this is changed.